Exclusive contract from Feilu Novel Network Novel. Understanding the Heavenly Adventure. You blindly modify your martial arts, and you are invincible. You have traveled through time, awakened your supernatural understanding, and obtained an supernatural constitution. You have discovered the technique of visualizing the crow, and you have changed it to visualizing the sun and golden crow. You have obtained the golden bell mask, you blindly modified it, and finally developed the chaos clock. You watched the documentary about the Big Bang and created the divine power of Pangu to create heaven and earth. You looked at the cells under a microscope and created the technique of transforming each cell into a divine image to control the prison. You have learned basic swordsmanship, you blindly modify it, and in the end, you open the heavenly gate with one sword. The world exclaimed, you blindly changed your martial arts, and you are invincible. Is this reasonable? Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Understanding the Sky-Defying Hangup System. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hospitals. Standing by a hospital bed, there is a middle-aged man and woman. And at this moment, both middle-aged men and women were looking at a young man on the hospital bed with worried eyes. This young man, with white bandages all over his body, and his hands and legs in plaster, looks particularly miserable. At this moment, the boy's tightly closed eyes quietly opened. A voice that only he could hear sounded in the boy's ear. Shen Zilong, have you traveled through time? In the next moment, memories containing countless pieces of information flooded into Shen Zilong's mind like a tide. This is a world of high martial arts cities. The name of this body, also known as Shen Zilong. In an accident, Shen Zilong was severely injured, with multiple fractures throughout his body and severe brain damage. He was in a coma in the hospital for several months. Isn't it? Others either travel through time to become unparalleled Tianjiao, or they are the young masters of the wealthy side. Even if it's time to travel to waste, at least my body is still healthy, much better than me, a vegetative person who has been lying in the hospital for several months. Looking at his broken hands and feet, Shen Zilong, who had just crossed over, felt hopeless. I shouldn't be a disabled person with broken hands and feet, right? In the world of martial arts where warriors roam freely, do I break my hands and feet at the beginning? What is this opening? I don't want to travel, can I still wear it back? When Shen Zilong was roast in his heart, suddenly, in Shen Zilong's mind, a mechanical voice without any feeling sounded. Congratulations to the host for successfully activating the Understanding Qualification Against Heaven system. Upon hearing this sound, Shen Zilong let out a bitter smile in his heart. He has already traveled through time and become a disabled vegetable. If we don't give him a system, he might as well find a piece of tofu and hit him dead. System activation successful, reward the host with one lottery opportunity. Is there a lottery now? At this moment, Shen Zilong could sense an immensely large spinning wheel slowly condensing in his mind. On this turntable, there are countless patterns of items. Even Shen Zilong could see detailed textual introductions above those patterns. The 9-Yang Manual. The magic skill in the world of relying on the sky. When cultivated to a great extent, the internal power is strong and inexhaustible. 6 Meridian Divine Sword. Duan use martial arts in the world of the Heavenly Dragon, with 6 sword energies that are invincible. Shen Zilong saw some techniques on it. However, soon Shen Zilong shifted his gaze away. After all, although these techniques are powerful and claim to be divine, they are ultimately at the level of martial arts. In the world of high martial arts, they can only be considered average. It's not even considered a top skill. On this lottery wheel, there are not only martial arts techniques from the martial arts world, but also techniques from the fantasy high martial arts world and the immortal world. Moreover, in addition to martial arts, there are also miraculous medicines and divine weapons on the lottery wheel, which can be said to have everything. Shen Zilong's gaze swept over the lottery wheel. Shen Zilong's gaze became increasingly hot. Qingyan Earth's heart fire, fighting against the strange fires in the world of clouds and sky, the strange fires of heaven and earth, burning the sky and boiling the sea, has infinite power. The palm heavenly vase is a treasure in the mortal world. It can produce a drop of spiritual liquid every day, which can accelerate the growth of herbs. Daban is a big Benz left at the foot of Mount Taishan Mountain in the world of sky building. The Benz owes a sky-high parking fee. There is a great human emperor standing at the foot of Mount Taishan Mountain, waiting for Yi Fan to pay the parking fee. There were too many prizes on the lottery wheel, and Shen Zilong felt that even if the number of prizes was not 1 billion, at least there would be 8 billion. There are many awards in the field of fantasy and immortality that have captivated me. If I could obtain the extraordinary fire of Dopa, the palm heavenly bottle of mortals, the special physique of Gai Tianli, the supreme bone of the imperfect world, the double pupils, and the Zhu Xian formation, Fan Tian Yin, and Tai Chi diagram in the wasteland world, then I would be invincible not far from the world. Unfortunately, I only have one chance to draw a lottery. Just as Shen Zilong was feeling regretful in his heart, a mechanical voice rang out again in his ear. Is there a lottery now? Upon hearing this mechanical sound, Shen Zilong no longer wasted time. Shen Zilong immediately silently recited in his heart. Conduct a lottery. The next second, a pointer will quickly rotate on the lottery panel. Watching the spinning finger swipe past the position of the martial arts hero, Shen Zilong silently prayed in his heart. This is the only chance for a lucky draw, we must draw a good thing. Special physique, precious bloodline, supreme supernatural powers, supreme skills, and miraculous elixirs are all possible. Go ahead and don't draw anything related to martial arts. Amidst Shen Zilong's prayers, the rotating pointer slowly stopped on the lottery wheel. What breathed a sigh of relief in Shen Zilong's heart was the position where the pointer stopped, not in the realm of martial arts, but in the realm of the Xuanhuan Immortal with a higher upper limit of martial arts. Then, at the next moment, a system prompt sounded in Shen Zilong's heart. Chapter 2. Nirvana Holy Body, Eternal Calamity. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Congratulations to the host for winning the prize. Eternal Nirvana Phoenix Holy Body, abbreviated as Nirvana Holy Body. Eternal Nirvana Phoenix Holy Body. The physical body becomes holy, the soul testifies, the body is not destroyed, the soul is not destroyed, if the body is destroyed, Nirvana is resurrected. Upon hearing the name and purpose of the prize he had drawn, Shen Zilong's breathing became rapid. What? Eternal Nirvana Phoenix Holy Body. Can I be resurrected from Nirvana? My soul will not be destroyed. The special physique with this effect, even if placed in Yi Tiandi's heavenly world, can still rank among the top 3 physiques, right? Even compared to this Nirvana Holy Body, the ancient holy body is slightly inferior. Only the innate holy body, the Tao fetus, and the chaotic body can be compared to this eternal Nirvana Phoenix holy body. Shen Zilong was very happy in his heart. Shen Zilong was very satisfied with the prize he had won. Buzz. At the moment when Shen Zilong struck the holy body, the whole world was filled with wind and clouds. 1 second ago, the blue sky was still cloudless for thousands of miles, but the next second, it was covered with dark clouds, making the whole world feel a sense of black clouds pressing down on the city and about to destroy it. Why is the sky covered with dark clouds? Is it going to rain? It's probably going to rain, I need to hurry home and pack my clothes. It must have been a heavy rainstorm, but the weather forecast clearly said it would be sunny today. Countless people stopped by the roadside, looking up at the dark clouds in the sky. Many people quickly ran home and began to tidy up the clothes hanging outside. Even Shen Zilong's parents, who were waiting in front of the hospital bed, came to the window of the ward and looked at the dark clouds in surprise. In addition to these ordinary people paying attention to the dark clouds, there are also countless renowned martial arts experts who gaze at the dark clouds in the sky. However, each of these strong individuals has a solemn expression, as if facing a great enemy. Because only these martial arts experts can sense the terrifying power contained in the dark clouds. If any trace of the power in the dark clouds can be easily leaked, it can easily destroy a city. If a small part of the power of the dark clouds erupts, it is likely to destroy this planet. Is this the end of the world coming? A wave of despair surged in the hearts of these martial arts experts. Although they are strong, they have nowhere to escape from the disaster of destroying the planet and can only wait for death. But why did dark clouds suddenly envelop the world? This dark cloud appeared without any warning, completely out of thin air. In theory, even if there is a disaster that will destroy the world, such as an earthquake, tsunami, etc., there will be some signs before it occurs. We, the strongest ones standing on the pinnacle of martial arts, are even more impulsive and can vaguely perceive some information in the dark. But the dark clouds that are about to destroy the world this time have no signs, and we, the strongest, have no sudden sense of inspiration. The same question has arisen in the hearts of countless strong individuals. This dark cloud appears too eerie. You should know that when practicing martial arts to a certain level, due to the unity of heaven and humanity and the realization of the heavenly way, some information will be sensed in advance for the upcoming disasters. This is called a sudden impulse by martial artists. But this dark cloud with the power of annihilation, before its appearance, these extremely powerful individuals did not have a sudden impulse. This leaves these martial arts experts puzzled. Boom! Just as billions of living beings in the world were shocked by the dark clouds covering the entire sky, a scene that made people even more horrified appeared. Only a spark appeared above the dark clouds. In the blink of an eye, this small spark swept through the vast expanse of dark clouds for tens of thousands of miles with the momentum of starting a prairie fire. The originally gray dark clouds have turned into bright red fiery clouds. This sky full of burning clouds is really beautiful. Yes, in just a few seconds, the dark clouds that enveloped the world turned into such a beautiful burning cloud. This is definitely a miracle. This must be a divine manifestation. Countless people lifted their heads and looked at the burning cloud, excitedly discussing. However, despite the billions of people discussing it, none of them could have imagined that the person who triggered this fiery scene was actually a disabled person lying in a hospital bed. However, at this moment, Shen Zilong's face was rosy and shiny, sweeping away the previously pale patient's appearance. Because just as his constitution became a holy body, Shen Zilong felt a strange energy suddenly appearing in his body. This strange energy flows throughout the body, repairing Shen Zilong's heavily damaged and riddled body at a breathtaking speed. In about 10 seconds, Shen Zilong's arms returned to normal. In just about a minute, Shen Zilong's extremely serious injury was completely repaired. Chapter 3 is too incredible. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is this the power of the Nirvana holy body? It has such an incredible recovery ability. My injuries were so severe, with comminuted fractures of both hands and legs. With the current medical conditions, it is difficult to cure them. As a result, with the recovery ability of the Nirvana holy body, I completely recovered in less than a minute. I feel that even if my bones are completely shattered, my meridians are broken, and my internal organs are burned, I can probably recover in a few minutes. I truly deserve to be the holy body of Nirvana. It's really terrifying. Shen Zilong personally experienced the power of the Nirvana holy body. Shen Zilong expressed that he is very satisfied. With such an incredible resilience, Shen Zilong felt that his life could be a little more turbulent. I, Shen Zilong, want the waves to soar. Don't rush to the waves yet. The first thing I need to do right now is to seek revenge. Abandoning my hands and feet, even my head was severely injured, and I became a vegetative person lying in bed. This move is really ruthless. This kind of deep-seated blood feud, I swear not to be a human without revenge. However, the person who injured me is a warrior. If I want revenge, I still need to practice martial arts first. With the incredible power of the holy body, I estimate that I won't be able to practice for long before I can have extremely strong strength. At that time, I can seek revenge. Thinking of the scene of being severely injured, Shen Zilong suddenly clenched his palm. He just happened to pass by and was seriously injured by the robbers who were currently robbing him. Perhaps, in the eyes of those warriors, the person who happened to pass by was just an insignificant mole ant. They felt that it was obstructing their eyes, so they casually injured him. During the time when Shen Zilong's body was being repaired, the strange scene of burning clouds in the sky slowly dissipated. As if all the clouds had been burned, at this moment, the world was as clear as a blue sky, and there were no more clouds to be found. After seeing the scorching clouds disappear from the sky, Shen Zilong's parents, who were standing in front of the hospital bed, shifted their gaze from the horizon to the hospital bed. The next moment, they widened their eyes and looked incredulous. Because Shen Zilong's parents saw that Shen Zilong, who was originally a vegetative person, had actually gotten out of the hospital bed and was loosening the white bandage on his body at this moment. Then, Shen Zilong's parents were stunned on the spot. Didn't the doctor say that Zilong may never wake up for a lifetime? Didn't the doctor say that Zilong's hands and feet were comminuted fractures that cannot be repaired under current medical conditions? How can Zilong move freely? Does this not conform to medicine? Even, it doesn't conform to science. Shen Zilong's parents feel that science has collapsed and science no longer exists. At this moment, Shen Zilong, who had removed all the bandages from his body, turned his head to look at his shocked parents and grinned before speaking directly. I'm doing well now. Can you handle the discharge procedures for me? I need to be discharged. Oh, by the way, when I went through the discharge procedures, I said that my family was facing difficulties and I didn't have the money to continue treatment. Don't say that I was discharged after I completely recovered. After all, this is a bit unbelievable, too high profile, and I don't want to be too eye-catching yet. After completing the discharge procedures and returning home, it was already an hour later. Dad, I want to practice martial arts. Sitting on the sofa, Shen Zilong said seriously to his father. In fact, the Shen family is a martial arts family, and Shen Zilong's father and grandfather are both martial artists. However, Shen Zilong has had no interest in martial arts since childhood and has always enjoyed humanities. Upon hearing that Shen Zilong wanted to learn martial arts, Shen's father and mother were momentarily stunned, and then nodded in a sudden realization. They all believe that Shen Zilong's thoughts have changed after experiencing this robbery, and he has also realized the importance of martial arts strength. So, as soon as Shen Zilong was discharged from the hospital, he made a request to practice martial arts. Then, Father Shen immediately said, "You want to practice martial arts, and Dad is very supportive of you. Now, I will teach you one of the three masters of our Shen family's unique skills." Shen's father returned to his room and took out a copy of his cherished family secrets from the safe, handing it over to Shen Zilong. Martial artists are divided into three systems: refining body, refining qi, and refining spirit. Ordinary martial artists can only cultivate one series, while Tianjiao, with astonishing talent, can achieve the same cultivation of two series. As for martial artists who practice three series together, their talent is very rare, at least I have never seen it before. And the unique skill I am giving you now is called Red Obsidian Sky Diagram, which is a spiritual cultivation technique. Watching Shen Zilong start flipping through his martial arts, Shen's father smiled and said, "Our Shen family has cultivation techniques for all three systems. You can try them all and see which system is more suitable for you. Then, focus on cultivating which system. Today, let's first experiment with the alchemy system." Then, Shen Fu gave Shen Zilong a detailed explanation of the Red Obsidian Sky Diagram. After explaining, "Zilong, go back to your room and have a good understanding. If there is anything you don't understand, ask me again." Chapter 4. Blind correction of martial arts. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Shen Zilong nodded and returned to his room with the secret script. Watching Shen Zilong return to the room, Shen's mother looked at Shen's father and asked, "How long do you think Zilong needs to cultivate in order to get started with the red obsidian sky diagram?" Shen Fu pondered for a moment and then answered, "If Zilong has the ability to refine gods, and his refining ability is also very good, it is estimated that in about 2 months, he will be able to cultivate his martial arts to the first level. If Zilong's aptitude is average, he will have to cultivate for nearly a year. But if Zilong's qualifications are not very good, it will probably take more than 2 years." Upon hearing the time spoken by Shen's father, Shen's mother let out a low sigh. Refining gods is the most difficult and also the most challenging way to test one's qualifications among the 3 cultivation methods. Your Shen family has been passed down for hundreds of years, and there have also been some people with the qualification of refining gods. I remember that the fastest record of reaching the first level of cultivation seemed to have taken 8 months, while for others, it took over a year. If Zilong could cultivate the red obsidian sky diagram to the first level within a year, he would be ranked second in your Shen family's hundreds of years of history. Our family can also be considered a genius in refining gods. By then, in the entire Shen family, our status and discourse power can be greatly improved. As soon as Shen's mother finished speaking, Shen's father smiled bitterly and said, "It's too difficult to achieve the first level of cultivation within a year, it's simply impossible. If Zilong successfully cultivates within a year and a half, I will be satisfied. This progress can also rank among the top 5 in our Shen family. Of course, there is also a possibility that Zilong does not have the qualification to refine gods, so no matter how long he cultivates, he will not be able to succeed. At that time, I will pass on our family's cultivation techniques to Zilong. The path of refining one's body may be quite arduous, but the advantage lies in the lower threshold. Compared to the path of refining one's spirit, it is much easier to get started." Shen father and Shen mother exchanged a glance at each other. In their eyes, there was a hint of anticipation surging. They are all hoping that Shen Zilong can cultivate the red obsidian sky diagram to the first level within a year. Of course, they are also very clear in their hearts that this hope is too slim. It has become so vague that it is almost invisible. By the way, has there been any news about the warrior who injured Zilong? Shen's mother suddenly spoke up and asked. Upon hearing Shen's mother's question, Shen's father fell silent for a moment and then spoke in response. "I have already asked the police station, but we have not yet investigated the news of that warrior. However, one thing that can be confirmed at the moment is that the warrior's strength is very strong, much stronger than mine. I hope the police station can quickly identify the killer's identity." Thinking of the killer's powerful strength, Shen's father and mother fell into silence. For a moment, the living room also fell into silence. In the room, Shen Zilong flipped through the map of the red obsidian sky again. This cultivation method is a concept of observation, with a total of 10 levels of realm. It is said that cultivating the concept of observation to a higher level will summon the great sun Golden Crow, shrouded in the divine fire of the sun, possessing the terrifying power of burning the sky and boiling the sea. Dari Jin Wu, the strongest mythological beast in mythology, is much more powerful than sacred beasts such as the blue dragon, vermilion bird, Xuanwu, and white tiger. If I really come up with the idea of Dari Jin Wu, I reckon I can sweep the world. Closing the diagram of the crimson sky, Shen Zilong murmured passionately. However, don't think about summoning Dari Jin Wu for now. Hurry up and cultivate it to the first level. Shen's father just told Shen Zilong that as long as he can fully outline the image of Dari Jin Wu in his mind, it will be considered the first level of cultivation. The image of Dari Jin Wu is depicted on the first page of the observation idea. Shen Zilong opened the first page of his thoughts and saw in his eyes a crow with only 3 claws and a black body. Is this Nima Dari Jin Wu? Isn't this the crow crowing on the disorderly burial mound? Is the creator of this concept lacking a single thread in their brain? Looking at the image of De Jin Wu, Shen Zilong couldn't help but imagine scenes in his mind. In the future, he will engage in a peak battle against some martial arts experts in a highly anticipated situation. Then, with a big wave of his hand, he summoned a pitch-black crow, and the crow flew over with a thud, killing the opponent. How much vibration will this kind of scene cause to the spectators? How would others address him? The Crow Emperor. Master Crow. If this title related to crows is placed on me, wouldn't my lifelong reputation be destroyed in an instant? Thinking of the title Crow Emperor, Shen Zilong trembled all over. No way. This visual image is not good, it's too garbage, I have to make some modifications. Chapter 5. Continuous Breakthroughs. You are listening at novelfull.audio. How could the big sun golden crow I imagine be a silly crow? I want to imagine the most powerful and domineering big sun golden crow. At this moment, Shen Zilong decided to try modifying the visual pattern. Anyway, I have the Nirvana holy body and have very strong recovery ability. Whether I am physically or spiritually injured, I can recover normally in a very short time. So even if I fail to modify the visual pattern, it's not a big deal. Therefore, I can freely modify the techniques until I am satisfied with the modifications. If you want to do it, do it. Shen Zilong took out his phone and started searching online for pictures about De Jin Wu. Which of these pictures of De Jin Wu online is not as domineering as the visual image of De Jin Wu in the martial arts? I want to choose the best De Jin Wu from these thousands of patterns. Shen Zilong's fingers quickly slid on the phone. After flipping through more than half an hour and looking at tens of thousands of pictures, Shen Zilong's gaze froze on a golden black pattern shrouded in flames. This is the big sun in my heart. Let's use this picture as a visual representation of the cultivation method. After selecting the visual pattern, Shen Zilong carefully stared at the picture for half an hour, remembering every detail of the pattern in his heart. After all, the first priority of the idea of the obsidian view is to outline in great detail the image of the great sun golden crow in the practitioner's mind. So, this requires Shen Zilong to remember the photos of De Jin Wu clearly. Now, let's start practicing. Shen Zilong, who remembered the various details of the photo, sat cross-legged on the bed, ready to start contemplating. And just as Shen Zilong closed his eyes, a line of light blue font came to his mind. Does the host enable the one-click cultivation function open? Shen Zilong silently recited in his heart. At the next moment, an intangible energy suddenly appeared in Shen Zilong's mind, starting to operate according to the first thought of the obsidian view. This energy drives Shen Zilong's spiritual power, like a paintbrush, and in Shen Zilong's mind, he begins to delicately outline the image of De Jin Wu. As long as one can successfully outline the great sun golden crow in one go, it is considered the first level of cultivation. The more complex the pattern, the more difficult it is to outline success. After all, the more complex the pattern, the more spiritual energy it consumes. However, the mental strength of beginners is often weak and unable to sustain such a large expenditure. The failure of visualizing patterns not only ruins the practitioner's previous efforts, but also causes significant damage to their soul. The De Jin Wu pattern that Shen Zilong found online is really too complex, it is outlined by more than 100,000 lines. The mental energy required to outline such complex patterns in one's mind is enormous. As he outlined 100 lines, Shen Zilong felt dizzy and bloated. Shen Zilong realized that his spiritual power had been exhausted. For others, if their mental energy is exhausted, it means their imagination has failed. However, for Shen Zilong, who possesses a divine body, it is not considered a failure. Because things like spiritual power and soul power are also within the recovery range of the holy body. Boom! At this moment, an energy appeared in Shen Zilong's mind, beginning to quickly recover his exhausted mental energy. This is the holy body working. In just a few breaths, Shen Zilong's spiritual power was completely restored, and he could continue to outline the Great Day and the Golden Wu. I do know why the Big Sun Golden Crow in my family's martial arts is just a crow lacking fur. It looks silly and not domineering at all. Because the black crow lacking fur is very simple, which is outlined with 70 or 80 lines. People with the ability to refine gods can basically outline it in a few months' time. If those beginners were to imagine the pattern I was looking for, no matter how long it took them, they would not be able to successfully outline it. After all, there are too many lines, thousands of times more than other imagined patterns. Even the most powerful alchemist Tianjiao couldn't imagine my image. Perhaps among the billions of beings in this world, only I, who possess the body of Nirvana, can imagine success. Shen Zilong had a sudden realization. After Shen Zilong's spiritual power was exhausted thousands of times and restored by the holy body thousands of times, the extremely complex pattern of the Great Sun Golden Crow was finally successfully visualized. Boom! In Shen Zilong's mind, a golden sun flame was swirling all over his body, with huge wings spread out. The mighty and domineering Big Sun Golden Crow was constantly soaring. And at the center of Shen Zilong's eyebrows, a golden black symbol also appeared. However, the emblem of Jinwu quickly disappeared. Even if I have successfully practiced the first level, I should now practice the second level. Shen Zilong opened his eyes, took out the secret script, and flipped to the page explaining the second part. The second level of the red obsidian sky diagram is to infuse one's own mind into the visual pattern, making one's mind the true ruler of the Great Sun and Golden Crow. Once the second cultivation is successful, Shen Zilong will also have the ability to see inside and sense subtle changes in his body. Practice. Shen Zilong closed his eyes and continued to activate one-click cultivation. Half an hour later, Shen Zilong, who had become the true ruler of Dei Jinwu, opened his eyes. The second level of cultivation was also successfully completed without any difficulty. There's no difficulty at all. Then, Shen Zilong began to cultivate the third level of his concept. The second emphasis is on internal perception, while the third emphasis is on external perception ability. If you successfully cultivate the third level, you will be able to perceive others' malice, hostility, and so on, even if they hide it well. Even you may sense fate and causality in the dark. This third layer is so powerful, it should be quite difficult to cultivate in theory. But I really didn't expect to successfully cultivate in less than an hour. Sure enough, cultivation is a simple, easy, and boring task for me. After successfully completing the third level of cultivation, Shen Zilong was very emotional. The secret script states that a person who can achieve the first level of cultivation within 2 months is considered a heavenly pride level, while a person who successfully cultivates within 4 months is considered a Junkai level. A person who successfully cultivates within 6 months is considered a Yangkai level. However, if one takes more than 1 year to successfully cultivate, it can only be considered ordinary. If one has not successfully cultivated for more than 3 years, it means they do not have the qualification to refine gods. Chapter 6. New Martial Arts. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I don't know what level I have reached in the third level of cultivation within these 2 hours, among the cultivators of divine martial arts. This secret script doesn't mention what's the point of my progress. Perhaps, no one in this world has ever thought about or dared to think about my cultivation speed as a god-refining warrior. Shen Zilong thought for a moment. Then, Shen Zilong took out a pen from his desk and wrote a line of words very seriously on the secret script of the Crimson Sky map. The one who can cultivate one's thoughts to the third level within 2 hours is a once-in-a-lifetime cultivation genius. I don't know how future generations will feel when they see this line of words I wrote. Is it praising my amazing talent? Or do you think I'm just writing nonsense and bragging here? Shen Zilong chuckled lightly. Then, Shen Zilong lay in bed and prepared to sleep. I've been busy all day, let's have a good sleep. Tomorrow, I will ask my father for the method of refining my body. Refining the spirit, refining the body, and refining the qi, with my holy body alone, I must be a fellow practitioner of the three lineages. The next morning, Shen Zilong woke up feeling energetic. For other alchemists, if they practice observing thoughts for a whole night, the next day they will definitely feel dizzy, mentally drained, and exhausted. However, Shen Zilong, who possesses a divine body in unlimited spiritual recovery, is 100 times more spirited. Then, Shen Zilong put on his clothes, walked out of the room, and arrived at the living room. At this moment, Shen Zilong's parents are watching TV in the living room. Dad, can you show me our body refining techniques? I want to learn how to refine my body. Shen Zilong walked up to his father and directly asked about the cultivation technique. Upon hearing Shen Zilong's words, Shen's father and mother exchanged a glance, with a hint of disappointment in their eyes. And the reason why they were disappointed was because in the eyes of Shen father and Shen mother, Shen Zilong had to refine the secret script of his body early in the morning. He must have been practicing the refining technique all night, and he feels that the path of refining is too difficult. He doesn't want to take the path of refining anymore, but now he wants to take the easier path of refining his body. I couldn't hold on to my cultivation all night, felt tired, and wanted to give up. Sigh, if Zilong wasn't my son, but my disciple, I would definitely slap him to death. Shen's father let out a sigh in his heart. Shen's father was very angry about Shen Zilong's behavior. He is angry and does not argue. Then, Shen's father opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but Shen's mother beside her glared at him, making him want to scold Shen Zilong, but in the end, she didn't say anything. In fact, Shen's father was also very clear about Shen's mother's thoughts in her heart. Shen's mother was simply worried that after Shen's father scolded Shen Zilong, who finally wanted to learn martial arts, would give up completely in a fit of anger. At that time, their martial arts path will be completely cut off. So, in order for Shen Zilong to continue practicing martial arts, he cannot reprimand Shen Zilong for the time being. Who? Shen Fu took a few deep breaths before suppressing his anger in his heart. Then, a smile on Shen's father's face that was even uglier than crying appeared. Zilong, please wait in the living room for a moment, and I will go and fetch your body refining secret script. Shen Fu returned to his room and took out a secret book from the safe. In front of Shen Zilong, Shen's father began to explain this secret script. Our Shen family's body refining technique is called fire refining true body. When you reach the ultimate level of cultivation, it can be said that you are invincible and have boundless power. Your hands, fists, and feet are like weapons, allowing you to sweep through all enemies in the world. The human body is like a piece of iron ore, both in terms of hardness and other aspects, it is relatively average and not outstanding. After being forged through fire refining, the human body, which was originally like iron ore, will become iron, steel, and titanium alloy, becoming indestructible. At that time, your palm will be made of titanium alloy, both an indestructible shield and an invincible weapon. Zilong, there will be some pain in practicing this body refining secret, you must persevere. After a detailed explanation, Shen Fu patted Shen Zilong's shoulder and earnestly advised him to persevere. Well, I'll go back to my room and practice now. Shen Zilong, who had obtained the secret script, couldn't wait to run back to his room and prepare to cultivate his true body through fire refining. I have reached the third level of the red obsidian sky diagram after 2 hours of cultivation. I don't know how far I can reach after practicing this fire refining true body for 2 hours. Shen Zilong, who returned to the room, was quite curious in his heart. Sitting on the sofa, Shen's father watched as Shen Zilong closed the door and couldn't help but lower his voice, sighing. I hope Zilong can persist for a longer period of time while practicing fire refining. I really didn't expect Zilong to practice the red obsidian sky map and not even hold on for a day. Shen's mother on the side also spoke up. Yeah, don't say you didn't think of it, even I didn't think of it. I have also heard that the practice of refining divine skills consumes a lot of mental energy. I thought Zilong could hold on for a few days, but he gave up all night. Seeing the disappointed expression on Shen's mother's face, Shen's father gave a bitter smile. I hope Zilong can persist in practicing the body cultivation technique for a few days. I don't expect Zilong to achieve any accomplishments in his cultivation anymore. I just hope his body can be stronger and he can get sick less. After seeing that Shen Zilong had been practicing the spirit refining technique all night, he gave up on it and wanted to practice the path of body cultivation. Shen's parents had originally hoped that his son would become a dragon. It was also completely extinguished. In the room, Shen Zilong flipped through the fire refining true body again. The red obsidian sky diagram is divided into 10 levels, and this body training technique is divided into 3 levels. The first level is a copper body, the second level is a silver body, and the last level is a gold body. I don't know how many hours I can cultivate until I reach the copper body. Shen Zilong put down the secret script in his hand and silently recited in his heart. One-click cultivation. The next second, a scorching energy surged into Shen Zilong's body. This scorching energy, like the raging flames, began to continuously refine Shen Zilong's bones like hammering iron ore. This kind of tempering is very painful. Just like someone breaking your bones inch by inch with a hammer. When Shen Fu explained the martial arts to Shen Zilong, he also mentioned that when someone in the Shen family was practicing this martial arts, he was directly pained and passed out. Therefore, while practicing this technique, Shen Zilong was already prepared to endure this kind of pain. Chapter 7. What if life is better than death? You are listening at novelfull.audio. He also really wants to see how intense this pain is. However, what Shen Zilong didn't expect was that as soon as he felt a slight pain, a cold energy immediately began to repair his bones. This repair process is particularly comfortable, even more so than Shen Zilong doing a full-body massage in a pink massage shop. What about the agreed pain that is unbearable and unbearable? Why is it so comfortable to cultivate? Sure enough, I can always trust the holy body. The holy body will never disappoint me. This powerful repair ability is truly incredible. The more he understood the holy body, the more satisfied Shen Zilong was with this physique. Whether it is the path of refining gods or practicing physical fitness, the holy body can bring great convenience to Shen Zilong. Let him win at the starting line compared to other warriors. As Shen Zilong sighed at the divine body's rebellion, his bones began to become harder and able to withstand greater strength under the tempering of scorching energy. Buzz. After a hard and hard-working hour of cultivation, Shen Zilong felt that about 20% of his bones had been tempered into copper bones. The cultivation speed of Shen Zilong is incredible in the entire martial arts world. You should know that other martial artists, even if they are exceptionally talented or have a bone that goes against the sky, but in order to achieve Shen Zilong's 1-hour progress, at least they have to work hard day and night for more than 10 days. And those martial artists with ordinary talents, if they want to match Shen Zilong's 1-hour cultivation results, they may have to spend several months of hard cultivation. It is well known that the difficulty of cultivation is greater than reaching the blue sky. Every slight progress requires countless sweat from the warrior. It's too easy to cultivate. With just one casual practice, I have made such great progress. Cultivation should be the simplest thing in this world. Shen Zilong sighed from the bottom of his heart. Then, Shen Zilong thought for a moment and stopped practicing. He has no doubts about the cultivation methods, but he is not familiar with the realm division of martial artists. He is planning to ask his father for relevant information on this. Living room. At this moment, Shen's mother had already gone to work, and only Shen's father was sitting on the sofa watching TV. Dad, I checked the martial artist information yesterday and found that the martial artist levels online are not detailed, only labeled as acquired martial artist and innate martial artist, but the minor realms are not classified. Upon hearing Shen Zilong's inquiry, Shen Wei, the father of Shen, smiled and said, "It seems that you are really interested in practicing martial arts this time, which is very good. The so-called distinction between postnatal and innate is just an ancient saying, which is the integration of a great realm. If you judge the strength of a warrior based on this, you will undoubtedly suffer a great loss." Shen Wei organized the following language. Acquired, innate, and heavy heaven are the great realms of martial artists, and each great realm can be divided into 3 small realms. Just like the acquired martial artists, they are divided into 3 stages. Quenching the body, absorbing qi, and nourishing the soul. According to the current statement, those who can twist their whole body strength into a single force are called first-grade martial artists, and those whose qi reaches the bone marrow and stimulates it to produce new blood are called second-grade martial artists. Those who combine qi with spirit are called third-grade martial artists, and even later on. It is the innate realm, which can be called a great master. The innate realm is also divided into 3 small realms, and the subsequent heavenly realm is the same. It is said that after heavenly realm, there is also a supreme realm, but these are too far away from us. In our kingdom, every innate warrior can be considered an important strategic resource, and even the weakest innate warrior has been tried by the State Department to attract and promise various conditions. At that moment, Shen Wei's eyes also showed a hint of envy, and then his gaze turned to Shen Zilong, smiling, he said, "It's too far to tell you these things now. What you need to do now is to cultivate the first stage of the fire-refining golden body, the copper body. As long as you cultivate the copper body, it means that your physical fitness is not weaker than that of a first-grade warrior. If you cultivate the silver body, your strength is not weaker than that of a second-grade warrior. The golden body is comparable to that of a third-grade warrior. As long as your physical fitness meets the standard first step, it is natural to integrate your own strength into a force path. The 10th grade of martial arts is stronger than the first grade. My requirement for you is to cultivate a copper body within 6 months and become a first-class martial artist within a year." Shen Zilong was lost in thought, and after cultivating a copper body, his physical fitness was equivalent to that of a first-class martial artist, which surprised him a bit. Because the cultivation of copper body is too easy. Not to mention half a year, he can basically develop a copper body by practicing for another day. That is to say, as long as he consolidates his own strength and pulls it to move his whole body, he will become a first-class martial artist directly. This martial arts cultivation is so simple. After thinking for a moment, Shen Zilong continued to ask, "Dad, what realm do some martial artists belong to when they can directly shatter the spirit of others' fists without even reaching them?" Third-grade martial artists, although they need the unity of qi and spirit to reach the soul cultivation stage, it is only the most basic unity. However, some martial artists can cultivate the fist intention during this stage and truly achieve the unity of mind and intention. However, there are very few who can practice the fist intention during the soul cultivation stage. 3rd grade. Shen Zilong's eyes flickered slightly as he secretly remembered. "Dad, what level of martial artist are you?" "Me." Shen Wei raised his head slightly, looked up at the ceiling, and spoke in a profound and inscrutable tone. "The mind is in harmony with the will is in harmony with the qi, and the qi is in harmony with the strength. As a father, I have already reached the stage of the combination of the will and the qi. With only half a step, I can truly achieve the connection between the mind and the qi, and step into the mysterious realm of the divine soul." Just a second-level warrior, Shen Zilong glanced at him with a sideways glance, his tone filled with disappointment. "What do you know, stinky kid? The gap between 2nd and 3rd grades is even greater than you imagine. This is the cornerstone to the innate realm. Many people waste their lives and fail to truly enter the realm of soul cultivation. Being a father is only a little short. 1 year, no, 5 years, within 5 years, being a father will surely become a third-grade warrior. When exposed by his son, Shen Wei's face turned black and he immediately made the classic billion-point gesture. Then he calmly changed the topic and said, "Son, the martial arts realm is only a rough criterion for judging a person, and cannot be regarded as truth. It's like two first-class martial artists, one bare-handed, purely relying on physical fitness, and the other holding a sharp blade and hiding a gun in their pants. Which do you think has a better chance of winning? 7 steps away, the gun is fast, but within 7 steps, the gun is fast and accurate. That's right, there are 2 differences between having weapons and not having weapons. You can choose not to use them, but you can't do without them. So, practice swordsmanship with your dad and start learning from now on. When you cultivate your copper body, it will seamlessly connect. If you want to integrate your own strength into strength, you need a PowerPoint for continuous practice. Sword is the best choice." Shen Wei spoke confidently, with even a hint of pride in his tone. Obviously, when it comes to using swords, Dad has a considerable foundation. Chapter 8. Sword Chi crosses 30,000 miles. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is it the kind of swordsmanship with sword energy spanning 30,000 miles? Or is it the kind of swordsmanship where no sword is better than a sword and can destroy the sword energy between the fingers? Shen Wei's tone paused and his face turned black. "You stinky kid is trying to hit me with a pure heart, right? If I had this kind of swordsmanship, I would have been a master long ago. Stop talking nonsense, go to my study and get the scabbard. I'll demonstrate it to you. In the afternoon." This is a kendo gym located in the bustling city area, named Wuchen. There are not many students in the dojo, only a few sparse individuals. They are tall and powerful, holding an unopened sword, looking ahead, stabbing, chopping, picking, and tapping. Their movements are standardized, and their strength is not low at first glance. The owner's surname is Ji, and his name is Wu Ye. He was a friend of his father when he was young and also a second-grade martial artist. "Yo-ho, how come you have time to come to my place?" Ji Wuye walked from the museum, looking surprised, accompanied by a young girl in martial arts attire with a delicate face. The youthful and beautiful radiance that rushed towards her was somewhat dazzling. "Yenner, this is your Uncle Shen, hello." Ji Yen secretly glanced at Shen Zilong, who had black hair draped over her shoulders and had 3-dimensional and full facial features. She muttered to herself, "So handsome," and then sweetly smiled, "Hello Uncle Shen. This is my son, Shen Zilong, who has just practiced martial arts. I was planning to familiarize him with swordsmanship and prepare him for future practice. After much thought, you have ready-made steel swords here." Shen Wei introduced with a smile. Ji Wuye laughed and said, "If you want to practice martial arts, it's never too late. There are plenty of steel swords available, but if you can arrange it like this, your son's talent is extraordinary. I can't compare to you. I remember your daughter entered the realm of a first-class martial artist a year ago, and she might be able to surpass you within 5 years. Your Qilin is still stronger and can tolerate the cultivation methods of your Shen family. Even if you have just started practicing martial arts, your future achievements will not be comparable to Yenner's." The two of them started a business exchange model, and each word of praise made Shen Zilong and Ji Yen feel a bit helpless. After a moment, Ji Wuye suggested, "If it's just teaching basic swordsmanship, otherwise let Yenner teach it well. Young people, it's better to communicate with each other. The two of us, the old guys, will guide us on the side." In this way, under the mutual understanding of the two, Shen Zilong's swordsmanship instructor changed from his father to the innocent and charming girl in front of him. Shen Wei stood aside and spoke confidently, "In the morning, you probably didn't forget. Although our Shen family's body refining method can reach the strength of a first-class martial artist in terms of physical fitness, the key to becoming a first-class martial artist is to integrate the strength of your body into a single force, and swordsmanship is the best point of strength. As long as you can practice each form of swordsmanship and achieve results, you will naturally become a first-class martial artist. Well, you're really a beginner. I thought Lao Wei was being humble. Ji Wu was surprised to see Shen Wei earnestly explaining the skills of a first-class martial artist, but still shouted to his daughter, "Yener, could you demonstrate to Shen Zilong?" Ji Yen waved her hand and said, "Brother Zilong, keep an eye on it." As she straightened her body, her toes exerted force, and her strength surged upwards, flowing into all four limbs and bones. With her spine as the center, her overall strength condensed into one and flowed into her arms. As she thrust her sword, her strength reached the tip of the sword, roaring and surging. Shit! The sword tip hummed, piercing through the airflow directly, and even visible white air masses could be seen faintly. With this sword, Shen Zilong saw the strength of a first-class warrior. Just the first level of martial arts can pierce through the airflow and generate aura. If this sword is pierced on a human body, even an unopened steel sword is enough to kill a person. Ding dong. Shen Zilong was about to speak when a system prompt suddenly came to his mind. The outside world is teaching special skills, and the system is currently recording them. Shen Zilong was slightly stunned. The collection of special skills is complete, and stabbing sword has been included. Open the system interface, click on the one-click cultivation mode, and find that there is an additional swordsmanship called stabbing sword. Did you see it clearly? Shen Wei said a sentence and then nodded at Ji Wuye. At present, a student handed Shen Zilong an unopened steel sword and looked at him with strange eyes such as examination, curiosity, and hostility. It's the first time that the junior sister from the Clean Sword Art Hall can personally demonstrate it. They also want to see who this young man truly is. Swordsmanship includes basic techniques such as stabs, splits, and punches. This is your first time practicing swordsmanship, and I don't have high expectations of you. Just practice the stab swordsmanship well, and when you can achieve the ability to pierce through air currents like Ji Yen and create air masses, it means that you have condensed your own strength into one and stepped into a first-class realm. Shen Wei immediately said, "Since you saw it clearly just now, why don't you stab dozens of swords for me to see?" Shen Zilong lifted it flat and, according to his own understanding, stabbed it with a sword. Hands should be stable, and when stabbing the sword, make the tip of the sword point straight out towards the piercing side. Shen Zilong thrust out his sword, while Shen Wei continued to correct himself on the side. Ji Yen, who was beside her, was very excited. She wanted to take a video with her mobile phone and share it with her sisters. But she was afraid of destroying the atmosphere, so she had to enjoy the beauty alone. On the other hand, Ji Wuye looked as if he could see how long Shen Zilong could hold on. For a beginner, a newcomer who has only been practicing martial arts for a few years, it is not easy to constantly stab with a sword. It seems like there's really no difference. Shen Zilong chose one-click cultivation and the stabbing sword. A special force injected into Shen Zilong's body and took over his body. His movements remained unchanged, maintaining the posture of stabbing the sword. However, as he repeatedly thrust, his sword movements became more and more standardized and standardized. Even in the eyes of others, Shen Zilong's movements have become more standardized than Ji Yan's, with a smooth and natural feeling. He has not practiced swordsmanship for more than a decade and has a deep understanding of swordsmanship, so he can't even show it. Shen Zilong sensed his own changes from the perspective of an observer. His concept of observing the red obsidian sky has reached the third level of entering the Tao realm, and he can use the imagined golden crow god to sense the subtle changes in himself. With this sense, he found that his body, under the self-correction of the system, was becoming more and more relaxed, smooth, and completed in one breath, and the way he exerted force was constantly adjusted according to his own conditions. Time passes by minute. Chapter 9. Unbelievable. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. More and more Taoist students gathered to watch, some even taking out their phones to record this scene full of harmonious imagery. As Shen Zilong immersed himself in his own transformation, his body twisted around his waist, and a force condensed from his limbs and bones, flowing into his arms. With Shen Zilong's straight thrust, his movements became unified and condensed into a single force. Shit! The sound of the airflow being pierced suddenly sounded, and towards the tip of the sword, a white air mass flashed away. Shit! Listening to the sound and seeing the air, the onlookers were stunned. Shen Wei's face turned red and his eyes flashed with disbelief. Just now, what did he hear? Is it like the sound of a sword piercing through the airflow, producing energy? Shen Zilong, have you condensed your strength? Ji Yan's tone was somewhat skeptical. She suspected that she had misheard and misread. How could someone just practice swordsmanship and be able to make sword sounds? Moreover, according to Uncle Shen, this is Shen Zilong's second day of martial arts practice. How could it be condensed into a powerful way? However, their suspicion did not last long. Shen Zilong looked at the steel sword in his hand with a strange expression in his eyes. He finally knew what the stabbing sword included in the system was, which was actually a technique for condensing strength. And his just one-click cultivation process is the process of the system condensing his own strength into a single stream. If he had known this, he would have gone home and practiced again. He really didn't expect that he could easily overcome what his father and Ji Wuye and others described as such a difficult first-class warrior. Yes, regardless of his physical fitness, he is truly a first-class warrior at this time, a warrior who can transform his full body strength into one and condense it into one. Son, try again. Shen Wei said eagerly. Shen Zilong nodded calmly. Shit. Pierce the airflow, leaving behind air masses. The second sword, the third sword, the fourth sword, shit. 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 At this moment, Shen Zilong, who was thrusting his sword for the first time, seemed to be in a strange state. With sword after sword, he, who had entered the realm of the third level of refining gods, began to become more familiar with his own way of exerting force. The sword tip hummed and flowed like clouds and water. Did you really develop your strength? Ji Yan, who had a slight sense of superiority before, suddenly felt confused. I started practicing the method of body cultivation at the age of 12, and it wasn't until I was 14 that I had the physical fitness that was no less than that of a first-class martial artist. It took me another year to barely make a sword sound, and I was praised by the teacher for my talent in swordsmanship. Lao Wei, this is not enough fun for you. If you want to show off, just show off. You just practiced martial arts, and for the first time holding a sword, I believed in your evil. After hesitating for a moment, Ji Wuye immediately shouted. Little did he know that at this moment, Shen Wei had already gone crazy with joy. He had previously suppressed his inner excitement, afraid of interrupting his son's state. However, now, after confirming that his son had truly condensed his strength, he could no longer help but exclaim in ecstasy, 2 days into the product, this is a peerless treasure. All right. All right. All right. My Shen family has a successor, Shen Wei was very confident that his son had not been exposed to cultivation, but he could rely on his unparalleled qualifications to enter the first level of martial arts before breaking through the method of body cultivation. This difficulty is very easy for people to understand. He had never heard of any records of entering a product before refining, except for the proud sons of those top aristocratic families and sections. My son has the posture of a great emperor. Quickly, Shen Wei suppressed his inner excitement and casually dealt with it before leaving the kendo hall with Shen Zilong. By the way, I received a steel sword symbolizing honor. In the next few days, my dad just said a few simple words and disappeared. just letting him practice on his own. Shen Zilong enjoyed his leisure and relied on the one-click cultivation mode, as well as his astonishingly powerful Nirvana body. He practiced the fire-refining gold body in a single day, but on the third day, he mastered the copper body described in the secret script. It can be seen that the surface of Shen Zilong's muscles has a faint hint of ancient bronze color, which is not sunburned, but the influence brought by cultivating copper. After several days of experiments, Shen Zilong found that the strength of the fire-refining gold body was not high, at least not reaching the copper body strength he expected, but the effect was still quite significant. In the room, Shen Zilong picked up a kitchen knife and with only 30% force, his face remained unchanged as he stabbed it into his palm. Dang! A sound that sounded like the clash of gold and iron rubbed against each other. The small knife bounced open, and there was only a small white scar on Shen Zilong's palm that could be easily wiped. With 50% force, the small knife successfully broke through his skin, leaving bloodstains. With 70% force, the small knife pierced directly into his palm. 10% strength, the defense of the copper body is almost zero. That is to say, as long as you are a first-class warrior, you can break his defense, which is far from his imagined defense. Shen Zilong washed the blood-stained knife clean and inserted it back into the knife. And his pierced palm has long since returned to its original state. This Nirvana body is really against the heavens. If it weren't for worrying about the bloody smell not washing away, I would have planned to try to see to what extent it could recover. Shen Zilong pondered for a moment and interrupted the idea of testing resilience. It was not realistic to test the Nirvana body without a personal residence. Ding dong. At this moment, the system prompts the sound, if the host steps into the martial arts realm, a special lottery will be given as a gift. In my mind, a spinning wheel appeared again, with the pointer rotating and then hovering in a mysterious square. Shen Zilong had some expectations, and a special reward of Nirvana gave him an immortal body. It was also a special lottery, and the reward this time should not be bad. Special reward drawn. Soul of Justice, Soul of Justice. People with a sense of justice will receive blessings from the underworld, idealistic justice, which is also justice. Shen Zilong was slightly stunned. What kind of strange reward is this? Are you planning to make him a righteous hero? At the thought of this, Shen Zilong was naturally disgusted. He could save people, but not be forced to save them. Moreover, there is justice behind the scenes. Is that still justice? Shen Zilong, who had never truly stepped into society after 2 lifetimes, felt a bit lost in his heart. However, he noticed the last sentence in the system interface note. Idealistic justice is also justice. In the afternoon. Shen Zilong, who walked out of a hair salon, has a head of broken hair, paired with exquisite facial features and casual clothing, giving people a positive and sunny image. He is contemplating his next cultivation plan. Nowadays, although he is only a first-class martial artist, his cultivation speed is unparalleled. He estimates that it won't take long for him to cultivate to the level of a second-grade or even a third-grade martial artist. Revenge is within reach. Chapter 10. Sweeping Everything. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The difficulty of cultivating a silver body is several times harder than that of a copper body. At the current cultivation speed, I still need at least half a month. The rule of thumb is that I need to cultivate until the 4th level to barely possess attack methods. On the other hand, the method of refining qi can effectively enhance my strength. Shen Zilong pondered to himself, turned the road and walked into a small alley. After walking out of the alley, he arrived at the residential area where he lived, which was a small path that the original owner had to wear every day for school. Shen Zilong was walking along the alley towards home when his expression suddenly froze. In the quiet alley, there were some faint sounds mixed in his ears, and the direction that came out was his inevitable path home. The sound just now was like the sound of a heavy object falling to the ground. He happened to see two men carrying a burlap bag walking towards the entrance of the alley, and at the end of the alley, a van door opened wide, blocking the alley while aligning the door with the entrance. And he noticed that there was no one in the driver's seat of the van. The burlap bag carried by two men on their shoulders, based on their body shape, can be identified as an adult. With a standard visual acuity of 5.2, Shen Zilong accurately saw the red liquid sticking to the burlap bag. With the help of the gentle breeze blowing over there, he could clearly smell a rust-like smell. For Shen Zilong, who has experimented with the body of Nirvana, this taste is very familiar, it is blood. Seeing this scene, Shen Zilong's face had changed. Is this world so cruel even for ordinary people? In broad daylight, under the clear sky, just over 100 meters away from the bustling streets, people were killed and thrown bodies in public, and transportation was prepared. That skilled demeanor was definitely not the first time. He is just a student who has not even been subjected to social abuse, why should he see all of this? This world is too dangerous. Accompanied by the sound of Shen Zilong's footsteps, two men carrying burlap bags suddenly stopped and turned their heads to look behind. And Shen Zilong also saw clearly the two of them. The two men are of similar age, both in their 30s. One has a shaved head and Chiyu has the same style of bald head, while the other has an inch-long head. Both of them have unique temperament and are ferocious, indicating that they are the kind of difficult to deal with members of society. When they saw Shen Zilong, their faces immediately darkened. The bald Chiyu had a low voice and a cold tone, saying, "Big brother, that little kid seems to have seen it. One is doing it, and the other two are doing it too. Just silence it." The inch-headed man could only take a glance, then withdrew his gaze and remained calm in his words. "Can you see the little kid across from him clearly?" "I can't see clearly, but judging from experience, I'm not very old." "That's it. What can that little brat see from such a distance?" Not to mention his imagination, he guessed that there was a corpse in the sack. Bald Chiyu was stunned and said, "So let him go like this?" The inch-headed man lifted his foot and walked forward. "Of course not, but it depends on his reaction. Anyway, our car is blocking the exit. If he wants to get out, he must come over. If he escapes, then you can go and kill him. One is to kill, and the other is to kill. Big brother wise." The bald man patted his horse without leaving a trace. At the same time, Shen Zilong's adrenaline began to surge, but he hesitated for less than a second before firmly walking over and following behind the two of them. In my heart, I thought to myself, I can't escape. They have already recognized my appearance, and once they do, it indicates that I have a ghost in my heart. Moreover, with just a slight association, I can guess that I live nearby. Even if I successfully escape, once the organization of this group of people comes to me, I, a newcomer who has just practiced martial arts for 4 days, will definitely not be a match. According to this group of people's bold and reckless behavior of killing and throwing corpses, they must be extremely cruel. Once they find out my information, killing me is light, even affecting my parents and ordinary people around me. They have slowed down their pace now, and they must be planning to ambush me, a new martial artist, when I get closer. The people in this world are really cunning, and I must take the initiative to ambush them. With this thought in mind, Shen Zilong's footsteps gradually quickened, and with the deliberate slowing of the two men's footsteps, within a few breaths, Shen Zilong had already approached them within 30 meters. At this distance, as he attempted to break through the third level of enlightenment, his perception increased significantly, and he became more certain that what was inside the sack was a dead person. From these two men, he also felt a hint of seemingly harmless malice. This made Shen Zilong more certain that these two people planned to launch a surprise attack. Big brother, he is indeed a student, and it seems that he doesn't know anything about us. Intentionally or unintentionally, he turned around to look at Shen Zilong, who was silent not far behind, and bald Chiyu lowered her voice. "Well, it seems like we didn't know, but to be careful, we'll observe in the car later, explore where he lives, and also see if he has any abnormal behavior. The current students are smart, so we may call the police directly later. The inch-headed man also felt a little relieved. He was used to being cautious, but when faced with a student, he didn't have that much thought. Listening to the footsteps, knowing that the student was less than 2 meters away from them, the two men pretended to turn around and scratch their heads with a smile. Wait a moment, we'll move away. The next moment. Bang, just as the two turned around, a dull collision sound suddenly sounded, mixed with a clear sound of bone fractures, and a large amount of blood mixed with several teeth scattered from mid-air. A fist was firmly tied in the middle and behind the bald Chiyu's cheek, causing her entire nose to collapse instantly. The fist even sank into her face to a depth of 2 or 3 centimeters. At least 70 kilograms of bald Chiyu was stunned by the punch, and her strength condensed into a single force. With full force, Shen Zilong threw her punch away, her body flying 2 meters backwards, and she fell heavily to the ground with a loud bang. Lying there motionless, unaware of life or death. Without the support of the bald man, the sack carried by the inch-headed man suddenly fell off, and the blood inside the sack soaked the ground through the cloth bag. You're the youngest. The inch-headed man looked at his brother lying in front of him and instinctively approached to investigate what was going on. But just as he saw his brother's current appearance, his face suddenly changed. He suddenly lifted his head and saw Shen Zilong approaching him step by step expressionlessly. He felt a chill in his heart, and even now he hasn't figured out why that student started.